Hello and welcome, dear viewer. I've probably announced this video more than once. Today I tell you all about my tech, the gear I use to make videos, how I decided on the specific stuff, and finally why this does not matter if you want to get into content creation, filming, video editing, etc. First, you all been waiting for this, PC specs. I don't even remember the case, it's a small Cooler Master thing, whatever. Intel i7-9700. Yes, I should have really waited for the 10th generation last year, but I didn't, whatever. This processor is a non-hyper-threaded 8-core, which means the single-core performance is really high. Very good for IT workloads like compiling. The RAM is rather slow stuff and I currently have 16 GB, but will probably be upgrading with 2 more 8 GB sticks. The main board is a Gigabyte Z390M box standard thing. And here we see my greatest mistake, a GeForce 1060. I should have just bought a 20 series graphics card. I'm such a dork, but at the time I really had zero clue about the graphics card market. Well, it works and it actually handles video editing very well, but the greatest issue is the limited video RAM. Next to it we have my Elgato 4K 60 Pro capture card, which quite frankly is overkill for what I'm trying to do. In the last slot I surprisingly have a Firewire card for reasons I'll discuss in a future video. My power supply is 400 watts and for storage I have one 0.5 TB SSD and one 2 TB hard drive. The system is of course air cooled and the PC cooler is an Alpenföhn Brocken Echo Advance, the largest air cooler that fits in my case. All of the fans I bought additionally are various Noctua fans. The RGB is a single strip I had laying around that is controlled via the single RGB header on the motherboard. I really recommend this. People will think your PC is so cool with RGB and all that, but truthfully you only needed scrap non-addressable strips and some double-sided tape. Moving on to peripherals. Well, it's technically not a peripheral, but this is my phone, a Google Pixel 4a 5G. Strong recommend, the camera is great even at 4K. Monitors? I have 3. Okay, great. I didn't need to do a 3 monitor flex, but it doesn't really count. Yes, my main monitor is a 4K 60Hz thing, probably among the cheapest HDR monitors on the market. But this thing is a 1993 LCD panel that I removed from its ugly enclosure and flipped on its side. Great hack guys, do try it yourself if you can afford an HDMI VGA adapter. And my third monitor isn't a monitor, it's a graphics tablet. XP Pen Artist 12, I bought it used and it works perfectly for the things I use it for. My mouse is a Logitech G903, which is a bit over the top, but it has buttons and I have become quite a fan of DPI switching. A Cherry MX board 1.0 with brown switches is my typing device of choice. This is probably the most basic a mechanical keyboard ever gets, but boy do these switches ever feel great. I can easily recommend mechanical keyboards to anyone. You won't want to use any other kind of keyboard once you get accustomed to it. But of course, famously there are the many different color-coded variants where one of them will be exactly what you need, even if you want to avoid the clicky-clicky loudness of the standard variants. And audio gear. This Yamaha AG06 small mixer audio interface hybrid serves me very well, especially because it has phantom power. I need that because my microphone is the famous Rode NT1A, a cardiac large diaphragm condenser microphone that is just wonderful. I've worked with quite some mics and from this price range, that thing is probably the best. I do a bunch of audio post-processing, but the signal you get out of there is so great it will happily accept much manipulation. But before I gush even more about how great this microphone is, let me mention the mic stand, an old used K&M 211-1, which is industry standard here in Germany. I literally only have one pair of headphones, Bose QC35-2. These are amazing and work both for their design purpose, Bluetooth headphones, as well as other purposes like video editing, music making and so on. Next is camera gear. I do not own this random ass tripod, but it works. This teleprompter is self-made and I have a video about it. So actually for filming I have so far used 3 different cameras. My phone, which I filmed all of this section on, which of course is technically good, but doesn't offer a lot of control. So second is my main camera that I inherited, a Sony Alpha 55 from 2010 with transitional STL technology, full-sized A-mount, APS-C sensor at 16.2 megapixels, HD video. This camera is old. but it works and it records HD, so I can work with it. Of course, this is primarily a photo camera and the pictures you get out of it are still great to modern standards. Apart from that, manual ISO, using aperture mode to manually fix the f-stop, manual white balance with a gray card, all that stuff is possible. And it demonstrates excellently how you have to know your gear in order to use it effectively. This is not a video camera, but knowing it well allows me to get great video out of it. The final camera I use about 50-50 with the A55 is this lovely Sony Alpha 6500. You will recognize I am strongly in Team Alpha and I love Sony's cameras. Anyways, here we actually have a mirrorless 4K camera with an APS-C sensor, E-mount and much more flexibility. This thing has a dedicated video mode. I can use S-Log, which I do because why not? Its stabilization is on point and the built-in audio is quite astonishing. Really, I think DSLR is dead at this point. I mean, this isn't even an expensive camera and it has all of these amazing features and results. I always enjoy filming with it, even if my graphics card then has to suffer a bit. But let's also quickly talk optics. My main A-mount lenses are this 22 to 70mm Sigma stabilized lens, which is nice and clean and has an incredibly silent autofocus motor. Second, I have actually used this 50mm Minolta f1.7 for lots of occasions when I don't need zoom. This is a 30-year-old lens that just has this awesome character with being a bit hazy, quite some chromatic aberration and of course most importantly great low light performance and extremely shallow depth of field. Fuck anamorphic lenses, this is it! You can get this lens used for cheap online and I will promise you won't regret it. And for E-mount lenses I mainly use the 70-300 Sony in-house standard full frame telephoto lens. It's nothing special, nice and clean, but that's a good part, it doesn't get in your way. Now, this is all well and good, but remember what I said in the beginning? You do not need this. I'm of course not the first one that has said this, and this isn't insanely hypocritical because my gear isn't all that crazy. But I repeat, you can start to make videos with anything. Good videos can be made with anything. To prove, the single most successful video on my channel is the conscript creation tutorial. When I did that like 2 years ago, my gear was terrible. I had a 5-year-old laptop that once was mid-range but now is and was barely usable. The images were made with a PowerPoint presentation and screen recorded with OBS, and I did the editing with DaVinci Resolve. My audio solution was some random old stage microphone and the audio interface I do still use, but the sound quality is comparable to any old USB microphone thing. See, my gear was basically free. Better equipment will not fundamentally make your videos better. It will mainly do 3 things. Increased production value, your videos will be better in visuals and sound. Decreased time and effort, making videos will become quicker, easier and more flexible. Increase options, the limits of your possibilities are expanded. But it's incredible what things can be achieved with limited resources. Limitations breed creativity. I do however admit that better gear is fun. It is more fun to work with stuff that is expensive for a reason. I'm a techie person, you can get me anytime with fancy cameras and fast computers and all that, but I recognize that I do not need all of the things I wish I had. Every piece of gear I buy is going to release more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, and we all need to be aware of the consequences that our uncontrolled consumerism has on the world, the only planet we have. I do not claim or believe that I am the best in saving the climate through my actions, but I only bought stuff I thought I could really use. And then I try to acquire gear that will benefit me for a long time, hopefully as long as I will need it. I also try to buy used equipment, borrow advanced tools and get creative, make things myself if I can. If anything, I hope this is the message I can get across today. Besides, you will save a bunch of money. With that, thank you for watching and until next time, goodbye.